Well, good afternoon, Ms. Cowan. How are you?
Hello, Dr. Mullen.
Good. I'm glad that you have taken time out of your busy schedule as principal at Parkway Elementary to talk about your goals for the 2018-19 school year. So I want to go over them with you, and it's just a casual conversation about your goals, how you're going to obtain those, perhaps how I can help as superintendent, and just talk about how we're going to obtain these by the end of the school year. Okay, all righty. All right, your first goal is you're going to monitor multiple forms of student data to inform instruction and intervention decisions to maximize student achievement, and you will develop, implement, and sustain a shared vision of high expectations for all students and staff. And we've indicated what Texas Principal Standards those are. So talk to me about why you chose that goal and why you think that's important for your campus this year.
Okay, so the goal of using the Fountas and Pinnell benchmark assessments and the running record data.
Thank you.
Okay, so 80% of the students are going to make at least 1 year's growth, because we know that the state focuses on growth, not just pass fail.
Yes.
And so we're focusing on individual growth.
Correct.
And so we are going to be looking at where each individual student begins the year and then focus their student growth with goal setting for the end of the year. So be monitoring their progress throughout the year with goal setting meetings and through RTI meetings.
Okay, so obviously your RTI meetings, who else works with you on those goal setting meetings, or what does that look like on your campus after you administer Fountas and Pinnell?
The teachers work with the students, and then we have an elementary curriculum director who also works with the teachers in helping them help the students reach the goals and set the goals.
Okay.
And then through RTI meetings, we look at where they are, where their goal was and how far they are, in the process. And then during RTI meetings, any interventions that would help in reaching that goal.
Okay, good.
Of course, with the parents as well.
Oh, how do you bring the parents in on that?
We bring the parents in through parent conferences and then goal setting sheets that the students fill out. And so, especially our spring parent conferences will address that with the students and the parents.
I love that. That's really good. It's so important that we bring our parents in. And I know you and I have already talked about your campus improvement plan, and part of that was how we continually encourage parents to be a part of their children's education. Okay, great. I love the connection between those two. Okay, one of the things that I've noted here, or is talked about strategies and actions. You talk about the use of intervention time to supplement reading strategies for students. Talk to me about what you're doing, how your campus is working with interventions, and how that's moving our students forward on reading levels.
Well, we have built-in intervention time. Each grade level has 2 30-minute blocks throughout the day that is set to if the student doesn't have to have intervention, then it's additional guided reading time or independent, reading or whatever that student individual needs. And then the other students will go out to computer interventions or other interventions like Read Naturally, LLI, small group reading, math, those types of things. So it's built into the day. So it's in addition to the classroom instruction. So when they get pulled, they're not missing classroom instruction.
Okay. So you talked about one of the interventions is guided reading, not only perhaps as a pull-out, but also an expectation for your students, for your teachers. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. How do you support guided reading? How is that done on this campus?
We have a lot of, we focus a lot of our professional development on guided reading, and it's we've had guided reading 101 and guided reading 202, so it's more specific to the teachers that need different levels. In addition, we have consultants that we work with, and then our ELAR coordinator comes over and gives feedback. So we'll come in and just watch the guided reading group and kind of give feedback on either be the actual process or different strategies to use within that.
Okay.
And then there's times that myself or my assistant principal will go in and we'll just sit with the teachers and kind of do like what we call whisper coaching. We can sit right there and kind of whisper along with them if we need to. So
that is great.
Different things that we do.
Okay. I had a question, but now it left me. All right. Do you have anything else that you want to talk about? You talked about resources, and most of that is staffing on your campus. You talked about the outside consultant, your elementary ELAR coordinator. So all of those people are your resources.
Yeah, but we also have, Fountas and Pinnell resources that we utilize, like the continuum that the teachers go to faithfully. as well as our guided reading book, and then the other guided reading kits that we have
Yes.
that we've built in our literacy library.
Yeah,
So
that was a great
a
addition.
lot of people, but we also have.
So how then, I know my question was, how are you as principal monitoring to make sure that we're moving forward? So you're having, is it during RTI meetings that during that discussion?
Mostly.
Okay.
But just generally just knowing the kids. I mean, I'm in the classrooms a lot, so especially if I'm sitting at a guided reading table or I'm hearing guided reading and I hear a kiddo that's cruising right along through the book, maybe more so than the partners in that group, then it might be my suggestion to go to the teacher and say, hey, have you tried them in the next level, and finding if they've done an informal running record on that student in between them. So,
all right, awesome. All right, let's talk about goal 2. This one is focused on discipline. Student discipline data will show a decline in the number of office referrals and placements outside of the classroom, and those tie to the Texas Principal Standards. The principal establishes, reinforces, and monitors clear expectations for adults, staff, and student conduct, including social and emotional supports. And the principal applies a variety of student discipline techniques to meet the behavioral and academic needs of individual students. So talk to me a little bit about this goal and how that's working on this campus already, and how you're going to work through the rest of the school year on it.
well, we're focusing on maximizing instruction time for the teacher and other students, also maximizing instruction time for the students that struggle with discipline.
Okay.
So it's kind of a catch-22, because we want to make sure that we have a good environment for all the other kiddos, but we also need to serve the needs of the students that are struggling. So we have our redirect team. We have 2 redirect staff members that will go in, and their goal is to maybe pull, it depends on the situation, maybe pull them out for a few minutes, let them have a cool down, not as a positive reinforcement, but come out and have a cool down, talk through some ways of what they're frustrated about, how they can handle it, and then get back into the classroom. Either the redirect person can go and sit with the student, or if the student feels confident in doing that, then the student might go in, but the redirect staff member will stand outside the door and kind of watch and listen. And so that's step number 1. And generally they will, depending on the students, but we'll do 1 or 2 redirects, and if it continues to be the same behavior and we're interrupting class, and it would become a discipline referral. So that's really helped with that. It's also helped maximize myself and my assistant principal being able to be in the classrooms, which is my next goal. So that way we can be in the classrooms more and just be able to do something besides just discipline. So and it also helps that we're able to walk around more, and so the kids never know where we are. So we look inside the door.
You're coming.
So we'll be standing outside the door, we'll be standing at the top of the stairs, and so we're able to be out more, and so that's helped a lot with that as well.
Good.
So
is that being more visible in the hallways throughout the campus, in the classroom, has made a positive change. And I like the fact that you see the connection between, we don't always need to pull our students out. I mean, I understand that sometimes that's necessary, but they need to be in the classroom receiving that instruction, because if we don't, then they're going to continue to have gaps. So keeping them in the classroom as much as possible is a positive.
Most of your RTI kids are behavior kids too.
Yeah.
So
interesting how that works, isn't it? All right. Let's see. Resources needed. CHAMPS training, possible funding for a school store, support from your special ed services. We have a coordinator behavior, and there wasn't. We probably need to look at adding redirect here. So let's go back and re-add that, and then we have that new director of student services, I think, which is a little is support as well.
Yes.
All right. Is there anything else that you need from me to help obtain this goal?
No, I think just having the staff, the additional redirect staff has been huge.
Good.
So that's really helped tremendously. So.
Okay, awesome. Okay. All right, let's talk about your final goal. And this one is spending at least 50% of each week in classrooms and during collaborative planning, working directly with teachers to improve instruction aligned to the text and student behavior. And those standards, principal standards, are the principal coaches and develops teachers and staff by giving individual feedback and aligned professional development opportunities, and the principal implements collaborative structures and provides leadership. And you've talked about how that through the discipline you're in the classroom a lot more this year than you have. So I can see how these two, goal 2 and goal 3, very much align together. But how, and you also talked about a little bit earlier about the whisper coaching. So it's like several of your goals are very much intertwined. So when you do one, it's supporting the other, supporting the other. That's very smart on your part. So talk to me a little bit about this goal and how, again, you're going to obtain it different from perhaps something we've already talked about.
Well, this one kind of came about because I didn't feel like I was in the classrooms enough last year, and so I did go to the breakthrough coaching.
Yes. And I want you to talk to me about that
breakthrough
too.
coaching this last summer, and although it was quite a shock and caused anxiety, to implement it, there's a lot of changes. Right. But at the end of the day, I think it has enabled me to be almost more focused and more. This is just my second year, so
yes.
I'm not going home and I feel like we can make it through things because a lot of things like emails, we get hundreds and hundreds, thousands of emails a day.
Yes.
But having like my secretary, which you have to have a secretary that you can trust wholeheartedly as your other half,
right?
To go through those kind of things that, okay, this is just redundant, you don't need to know this, or this is something I can do. And then that way only things that I have to address come through to me. So that's helped. And so, and then scheduling my time in the classrooms and having designated office days where that's when they can do all the meetings and ARDs and all that stuff, and then scheduled campus days. So Wednesdays are collaborative planning, so Wednesday's a campus day, so they don't book me on ARDs or 504s or unless there's an emergency. Right. But for the most part, I'm all in collaborative planning, unless something comes up. Right. And then the other times I just go sit in the classroom and sit and work with kids in small group, or I just go in there and support the teachers. But I just do a lot of walking around or sitting in on groups or whatever. Some teachers don't even know I'm in there.
That's awesome.
And I don't always walk in there with a pen and paper because I don't really call it always a walkthrough. Right. But I'm able to go back in when I'm adding into their T-Test. I can add information that I've seen because I have a spreadsheet that I kind of keep notes on myself in the AP, so that we can have that to refer back to, like great things that we see. Sometimes I'll bring a notepad and just write a little note that I see. Correct. Or I'll write a little card that I'll, like a thank you card or some other high five card that I'll leave for them. It's not always a formal walkthrough.
Okay. So that's really good though, that you're providing that positive support to your teachers, not always aligned to T-Test. Yeah. But just to let them know, hey, I was in your room, I liked what I saw, giving that positive support. And so,
but to schedule that time, and then I schedule all the pre-conferences, they're on a schedule. So the teachers got to sign up for let's say they could schedule a pre-conference on a Monday, and then they had to give me a window for their T-Test. And so those kind of things are all scheduled. And so.
Now does your secretary work on that scheduling or is that?
So we put it in the newsletter and the teachers will sign up for have options or whatever. And then she just adds it to my calendar. Okay. So she manages the calendar and everything and pretty much tells me where to go. And then instead of having meetings that last forever with, if a parent has a meeting for 30 minutes, you very politely develop a system where if it's 30-minute slot, then, she might come and just open the door and just stand there and say, okay, your next appointment's, ready. And so that just kind of helps wrap it up. So keeping me on a schedule enables me to be more productive in a day.
And so you have seen a change in your productivity.
And huge.
That's awesome. That's really, really good. And I know your office is different. Number one, you changed offices, and then number two, the setup of it is different.
It's supposed to be more of like a conference room meetings. This is truly when you're here, you're only here for work.
Right. So it pushes you out onto the campus, into those classrooms, into wherever you need to be.
Breakthrough coaching focuses on if you want to be comfortable and be warm and cozy, go home.
So this is not the place for it.
Yeah. So I went from working 70 to 80 hours last year a week to about 60. That's some weeks might get 65. Right. But I've actually had one week that I think it was like 50 hours, and it was like shocking. Wow. But I feel like I'm getting more done.
That's awesome.
So I think that has definitely helped this goal with that. And then the teachers really enjoy us being in their classroom. Right. And then the kids do too. So I'm included in more of their work. They write about me, they draw about me, they know me more, so that's kind of cool.
So you're not the principal, this
Mhm.
person who just sits in an office, but you truly are
Mhm.
visible with them.
Mhm.
And that's part of being that true instructional leader on your campus,
Mhm.
so that everybody sees you in a different
Mhm.
light. And I have seen a difference in the culture on the campus this year. I think probably because, number one, it's your second year,
Mhm.
and you're more visible. You
Mhm.
really are in the classrooms.
So it helps a
coaching
whole
and that
lot.
kind of
Like
thing.
we've had some changes, I know, at the district level.
Yes,
So that's been helpful in being able to do that.
yes. Because the expectation is for you to be in those classrooms.
Not in meetings.
And so here's the other thing that really ties in with all of this, because we've talked about guided reading and your RTI meetings and meetings with other district staff on where your kids are, the movement of your kids and your teachers.
Mhm.
So as you're talking with teachers, getting their feedback, their perspective, and knowing your teachers. That's where I was going. Knowing your teachers. Okay, I'm not worried about listing your teachers. I've got these teachers here. These are great. I might need a little support. Go in just to let them know I'm here and I'm looking, but I'm not worried about them nor their students. These are the ones I'm a little concerned about, and these I'm really concerned about. So looking at those, you've got a list, I'm sure, of the ones. And so the ones that are on the ones I'm really concerned about, those are the one you're probably double dipping with.
That, and I also use my ELAR coordinator and even my the consultant, the reading consultant, specifically for reading. But we also have our ICs, instructional coaches, that go in and they do a lot of modeling. And they just go in and they might teach whole lessons, or they might sit and give feedback and sit in the back and then watch and then give feedback. We also have it where the teachers are videoing themselves and doing feedback for themselves using the swivel.
Talk to me about that. I knew you had the swivel, and I knew that y'all were implementing that. So how is that going over with the teachers?
A lot of them don't want to use it, but the ones that have are realizing, it really helps them, especially with questioning, because our focus is their questioning, because they will ask the service questions and they don't go deeper, and so I think and we don't necessarily look at it together. It's for them to look at. So I don't really have a big hand in that, but the ICs assign it, or they check it out and then go through the teachers, like when they're having their coaching sessions, about some things that they notice. And so that's been interesting, indeed. So
that's good though.
And then the other thing that is new this year that we've implemented is the Monday Observe Your Peers opportunities.
I was just going to ask you about that.
So they can sign up to observe their peers, and we have a volunteer who's actually a certified teacher but isn't teaching anymore, that comes in and will cover classes and actually will do instruction, because she knows what she's doing.
Exactly.
And so the teachers can go and watch their peers. So it could be upper, they don't have to be on the same level. But, I have one particular teacher in first grade that she's a struggling teacher, and I've done a lot with her. Coaches have done a lot with her. We're seeing some growth, but we still have some other areas that we need to grow on. Or the growth that we've seen can be expedited if we could get more, like going and seeing. So we've scheduled time for her to go into different style teachers at different times of the day. So, we haven't really gotten through all that with this one yet, so I'm curious to see how that all pans out.
And that will help. I know that 3rd and 4th are new to guided reading this year, for the most part. And that will help if they could go down and watch 1st and 2nd, who have really been working on guided reading for a number of years.
We haven't really got the 3rd and 4th grade just to buy into that a whole lot yet.
Still working on that.
We're working on that. It might be voluntold here pretty quick, because they're not really buying in. But I think if they will see that it's really not just something else to do, that
if you could get one,
that it's doable. If I can get someone to just jump on board,
then it will spread.
Awesome. Insidious in a good way.
All right. Do you have anything else to add about your goals? The data, expected outcomes, anything you need?
No, I think we're doing good, and
I think so too. I'm excited. I'm excited about the things that we've talked about and about what I see taking place on this campus. Okay, so this was talking about your initial goals, looking at everything, and I will schedule a mid-year conference in February. So we'll come back and talk about how you've progressed so far in meeting these goals, and so we'll need to have some evidence at that time, some data to talk about, so that you bring that to me, and then we will schedule our summative conference sometime in May talk about whether we've obtained these or not, and I don't see that. You're well on your way. I will be in and out of campus just like I always am, observing you in your leadership capacity roles. I may attend a collaborative planning to see how that goes. I may pop in on an RTI meeting, just kind of walk through and see how things, and see you in your leadership role so that I'm gathering that data as well. Let's see. Do you have any questions about the process at all?
No, I think I'm good.
Okay. All right. Well, what we'll do is we'll go in and sign it electronically so that we've noted that we've had this conversation. And I appreciate your time so much.
Awesome.
Thank
Thank you.
you.